And welcome back. So in the last video, which I literally just finished recording, I made CarPlay work. Well, on the 2020 Road Glide here. So the reason I'm doing all this stuff right now is to get ready for Bike Week. Now it's middle of January right now, so you know I've got a couple months or a month and a half, but might as well get it ready now because I'm not sure what my method is for getting down there. I might be driving my truck and towing this. I got some stuff I got to take down with me. Might be going down there before Bike Week and riding the bike down and leaving it there, flying back. I don't know yet, but one way or another, this bike is going to Bike Week. That one might be too. I don't know yet. Stay tuned. But when I first got this bike, and I didn't record it because I wasn't doing this at the point, I put these aftermarket speakers. They're Sinister Sound. I've got an Arc Audio 720 watt 4-channel amp, and I'm only using 2 channels of it. My old bike, my Ultra, had lower fairings, and I have learned very, very quickly that when it's a little cooler outside, those lower fairings are fantastic. So we're gonna put some lower fairings on this bike, and I figured, well, I'm putting lower fairings in it. I don't want to take up any of my saddlebag space here because yeah, I use them. I don't want to put speakers there because I use them so much. But I never really used, on my old bike, I never really used a lower fairing. They have little glove compartment things down there. I never really used those. So I'm going to put some speakers in there. So that's what I've got right over here. I've got some Rockford Fosgate speakers and a couple of generic eBay, actually these are Amazon, lower fairings with speaker pods. I ordered those. They were a little more expensive, but they had prime shipping, and they actually came with speakers. This is one of the speakers that they came with. I don't know anything about these. I don't know what the power rating is. They don't have anything, and to be honest, I didn't even know that they came with them when I ordered it. So we're not putting those in there. But we are going to put a set of Rockford Fosgate P1650s, and then we're going to see how it sounds. So stand by, let me go ahead. I'm going to get these my Christmas decorations off of here, and we're going to see about getting these fairings installed. Some people have said they don't really work too great on the Road Glides. Other people said they work perfectly fine. We'll see. So let's see what happens. Alright, so I got the first one pretty much on there. Still got to put this on there and got to put the speaker back in it. Basically, this didn't come with any directions, so you know, I'm kind of winging it, trying to figure it out. So the tools you'd need to actually install it are an Allen wrench for this guy, which goes on the bottom, Phillips head screwdriver, a ratchet with a 10mm and a 13mm. You can use a short or a deep of either. It doesn't really make that big of a difference. And basically, one thing I would recommend, you do have to remove the speaker to install it, because back in here, I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, probably not, but back in there, through that hole, is what goes to this bolt and retainer clip. Now what I would do, which is what I did here, to save from having to remove this whole out or inner pod here, is take the retainer clip off of this cover, which goes right there. It just slides on there, and use it to actually keep this bolt in here. Otherwise you have to take this off, which requires, there's 3, 1, 2, the other one's behind there, 3 Allen head screws that do that. So then you take this loose. Again, I only had to loosen the bottom one most of the way. I took the top one completely out to where it would flip to the side, put it on there, put it back on. The hardest thing was getting this guy around there. And I found the easiest thing to do was I just basically stuck my screwdriver through the lower fairing into, it goes like that, with this part facing the fairing. And I basically stuck the screwdriver through it, kind of like that, to get leverage into that other hole, and then lever it to get it on there. So now what I'm going to do, because I know for a fact that I'd rather not use these grills because they have chrome, and I don't really have any chrome on the bike. The Fosgate speakers came with grills, but they're a little bit too big, so I'm going to see what I need to do to make them fit in there. So for now, I'm going to take my other fairing, set it up here, and see what needs to be done. And I'll kind of give you guys an update as to what we're doing with that, and we'll see what all happens there. Alright, so it looks like once it's all said and done, that thing's gonna snug right down in there. It's a little bit bigger than these chrome bezeled ones, but it does snug down in there pretty good. So I'm gonna give that a pass. Everything lined up, looks good. So I'm gonna pull this thing back out. We're going to get it all mounted up onto the passenger side here, and then the fun part comes in where I've got to pull all of this off and get the radio off so I can get to the amp up underneath here. So my amp, can't really see it, but it's mounted up inside underneath there, and I've got to actually wire in another harness so that way I can get to the amp and hook up the rear channel outputs. So let's go ahead and get that done. All right, well, that was difficult. Wasn't that bad. The hardest part here, so I got this other side on all the way. I have the speaker wire into the fairing, and it's just kind of out right here right now, and we'll run it up into here once I get the front end taken apart the rest of the way. The hardest part about this, guys, is getting this back on. Now, I found out an easier way to do it now, and that is, I was trying to kind of put it on there while I was holding the screw in from this side because the screw has nothing to retain it. Don't do it like I did. Place this thing all the way up on here. Take the screw out completely. Place this thing all the way up on here and get you a screwdriver with a magnet that's very strong. The little cheap Harbor Freight one here, Pittsburgh one, this magnet on here is not very strong, and wanted to keep dropping it. And once I got it in there, these things look pretty good. You can see they got little vents that open and close with this little slider. That's kind of cool. And yeah, so now what I'm going to do in order to run these wires up into the fairing is I got to pull this headlight off, pull the radio off, and a couple other things. So let's go ahead and get that done now. All right, so this is the point where my install and yours is probably going to be completely different. You can add speakers to this bike without adding an amp. I don't know why you do that, but you can do it. Mine, I do have a Arc Audio Moto 720 amp on it, and because of that, I have to wire the speakers into the amp, and then I have to wire the amp into the rear channel of the radio. Now, be warned, when you add speakers, you will have to take the bike to get it flashed. When I put my speakers in, when I put my system in, when I put the amp and all that in there, I had my dealership go ahead and flash it for a 4-channel with an amp. They'll do it. Mine didn't charge me, yours might. Your results may vary. But the easiest way I've found to do this is going to be, I went on to the Facebook, again, like my last video, where we got the CarPlay dongle here. A guy made this up for me. It cost me 15 bucks shipped, and all it does is it's going to plug in, it's back here somewhere, to the factory harness where the rear speakers would typically come out. And then I'm going to take this, and if you didn't have an amp, you would simply wire this directly to your speakers. Because I have the amp, I have to wire this harness here to this harness, which is going to go to my amp, and then my speakers are going to wire directly into the amp. It's just one more extra step. If you don't have the amp and you don't have it set up like I do, you don't actually have to remove the radio or the headlight or any of that stuff. You would simply wire into this plug, plug it in, get the radio flashed, and you're good to, good to go. But yeah, if you did that, it wouldn't be loud enough, or at least in my opinion. So I'm going to go ahead and get this all wired up. Really, it's just a matter of you know, matching positive to negative. So, you know, we got our positive wire, negative wire, vice versa. Same thing on this side. Plugging it all in. I'm going to wire these up to channel 3 and 4 on my amp, and then we're going to make it happen. So yeah, let me get this all wired up real quick, and then we'll see what happens. So I got the, let's see if we can get around here real quick. It's kind of hard to see. Get my cable here out of the way. I got the speakers all wired in. They're all installed. Lowers are fully installed. Wires are run. They go up through here. You can't really even see them. And then they come up right here. Wire into my amp. I got my pigtails all put in. And now, I actually already went ahead. I stuffed the radio back in here for just a second to go ahead and do a little bit of tuning. That's one benefit. So, if you don't have an amp and you just wire it up with the rear outputs, you're good to go. You don't have to pull the radio out. You don't have to do what I'm doing. Now I've got to actually pull the radio back off, mount the amp back up underneath using the mounting bracket here, and then put the headlight on. I can put the fairing back on and button everything up. So I'm gonna have to go inside and get a jump drive with some appropriate music, and then you guys can I'll play a little clip of what it sounds like. But let me get everything buttoned up first. Let's do that, and then we'll go ahead and play. All right, so here it is. Got it all back together. Got the headlight back in, all working. The lower fairings are on. Speakers are all wired up. Head units in. And honestly, for being some eBay lowers, I know it's hard to see in this light, but you know, they don't look that bad. Now the real question is how does it sound? So well, thanks to YouTube copyright laws, I've got to use some YouTube music here. So I went on the YouTube audio library, and I've got a song downloaded here, and let's see. And I'm actually going to walk, I don't know if you can see it, but all the way across the street. I'm going to go all the way over there into that grass in that field. I don't know, you can definitely hear it from a long distance off, and it's pretty damn clear, all things considered. So, you know, like and subscribe. I'm still working on some of these videos, trying to figure out what I'm gonna do, but you know, mostly if it's just for fun. Now I gotta go back in there, close that garage door, warm it back up some, and get that bike cleaned up and ready for bike week in about a month and a half. So next thing I gotta do is probably work on the lighting again. So stay tuned for that, and like, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and otherwise, stay warm. It's cold here in Kentucky.